it to them that, yeah, we don't just call it a mission so that we can have a cool name to it. So it's called a mission because let's say it's Thursday or it's Friday and you're going to take a mission. Mission 3, like we just did level 3. Mission 3 might have 10 questions on it, like a quiz. But if a kid takes that and he gets 6 out of 10, he's got a 60%. But what I put on here, and this is what's on that orange card. If you look at like this built-in abilities, and Classcraft kind of had this too. Like when you start the game, you have some like built-in abilities. So I said, when you finish your mission, you can ask me one time to erase all your missed questions. Boom. So I'll just do that. Boom. You missed those 4 that you missed. Keep the 6 you got. The 4 you missed, poof, they're gone. Now go again. And then they would try to get it up. We have this goal, as Trey over here was explaining, we have this goal to try to get 80%. Like whatever grade they get, they get. But if they get that 80%, they're getting a star right here, and they're getting $5. And if they actually had their assignment done too, I'm going to throw them an extra $1. That's a rule I threw in like halfway through the year when I was like, I want to try and make sure you're getting your assignments done, not just getting a Friday and you're like halfway done. So, but now if they got a 60 and I reset their questions and they missed the 4 questions again, those 4 questions are kicking their butt, well then they got a 60. I let them reset them once. But then I gave them this other ability because again, I'm trying to turn the math class into Mario, where we're not afraid of getting 60%. So then every kid has this ability, and that's the ability to say, Jones, reset the whole darn thing and let me start from scratch. So okay, 10 questions, you got a 60, we reset your 4, you still got a 60, but you know you're trying to get that 80, you're trying to get that star, you're trying to get that money. Absolutely, infinity amount of times you can retake that test trying to get that 80. And that the awesome thing about Delta Math is it's always going to be, randomly generated questions, so it's not going to be just the same stuff every single time. But that's the way to combat that like fear of failure. And right off the bat, it's like it doesn't even matter. You don't even have to pass the test on like the first take. Like, okay, you got a 70. We kind of have a set goal of 80. And like so I try to find a way to like motivate them to like want to be like good for themselves. 70, 60 is not good enough, right? Like one time I had a student, I tried to do that when I was doing Classcraft. And this girl got a 60. And I was like, hey, let's reset those missed questions. And she's like, a 60's passing. Yeah, I guess a 60 is passing. That's like the whole thing we're trying to get. Like, do the best you can. I'm going to give you an opportunity to get it up. And that's why I was like Classcraft for that girl was not motivating her. But last year in my class, like the first time I did all of this, I can say like, literally every single student, from like the worst of them who was sucked at math the most to the one who could just like do math in their sleep, every single one of them at some point ask me, will you reset my missed questions? Or they ask me, hey, can I just do the test over? Like, and that has never happened before. It never happened with Classcraft, never happened with anything. So at that point I was like, okay, this half-baked idea, which in the middle of the school year, we're still trying to figure out where it's going to go, and we're going to figure out if I'm actually going to have to bake a cake for anybody. Like, okay, now there's something that's actually working, because I've got students asking me, not like me asking them, the students are like asking, hey, will you reset my missed questions? Hey, you know what, let me take that test over again. Over and over and over and over, from the top of them to the bottom of them. Not a single student was just like, 60's passing, I'll take a 60. So I mean, that was like for the first time, it felt like these students felt like Elaine and her atomic sub. It's like they really they were invested in it, and they really wanted to like get that 80% at least, because they really wanted the star. They really wanted the money. I don't know what it was. It was something. Something magical happened.